Good morning, good morning. It's 9 o'clock. We have a lot to do. Alan, good morning.
Good morning, John.
What are we doing here today?
Well, first of all, good morning, everybody. This is a stunning. I mean this sincerely, not a joke. This is a stunning amount of creativity and brain power in this room. It's almost frightening, actually. But thank you all for being here. This is really a rather extraordinary gathering of people who love this city. Obviously, you know this is about World Heritage City. This is about our initiative, which we've been working on for probably 2 years now, to make Philadelphia the first American World Heritage City. We are closing in on the finish line of that particular goal, but the joke we have between us is this is a little like, you know, the dog that chases the car. What does the dog do when the car finally stops? The dog's looking around going, I kind of had an idea, but I'm not sure. Bite the tire, do something. Well, we've got to figure out that if we're going to be a World Heritage City, we really have to figure out what that means and what we do with it. What happens when that car stops for us. And so you're all here today to help us begin the process of sorting that out. We've got everybody kind of categorized. The categories don't necessarily mean anything other than we needed to put you somewhere. And really start a conversation about what do we do with this and what can it mean to the city of Philadelphia. And John, I probably ought to ask you the same question. What does it mean to global Philadelphia?
Well, and as you know, we've been in business now for just a little bit more than 5 years. We'll be celebrating a 5th anniversary at the end of 2015. For the last 5 years, we have been meeting and talking among ourselves about how Philadelphia could achieve its full global potential. I mean, every bit of it, not just what some would say, but every bit of it. And happily, we had the opportunity to meet you, talk with you, enter into a partnership with you. And the result has been weekly meetings, and God, has it been 2 years? It's been almost 2 years.
Yeah.
We've met every single week, a global team and a city team, getting ready for this moment, the next moment, and the moments to come. So it's a real pleasure to be here, and maybe we ought to talk a little bit about your team, who's here, and I'll say a little bit about the Global Philadelphia folks.
Well, the people that I want to acknowledge, I know some of them are here. My Deputy Chief of Staff, Sylvie Gaillard-Howard back there, Luke Butler, my Chief of Staff, now I see hiding back there, snuck in at the last second. Sapna Bhatt, where's Sapna? There's Sapna, oh man, that's confusing. Hi, Sapna. Sapna is both as a terrific individual, but her position is something that we created in this administration's Commerce Department for somebody to manage our international investments, to consciously reach out. And Fernando, where are you? Oh, right in front of me, of course. I should have known that would happen. From the city's Department of Immigration and remind me the whole multicultural efforts. Fernando has been incredibly instrumental in kind of helping us pave the way at the last World Heritage Congress in Oaxaca, Mexico. He'll be with us in Peru for this World Congress, and Fernando, thank you for that. Also, thank you for your efforts in helping us secure, I think, more powerful personal relationships in Puebla, Mexico. So that's our key team. There are many more who work on it, but those are the key people, and John, maybe you should do the same.
Yes, I sure will. There are a number of people who came to this through the Global Philadelphia Association, and I'd like first to recognize Barry Eisworth. Barry, where are you?
Is there, right?
Barry, as you will all know, is one of the prominent architects, international architects of Greater Philadelphia, and he and Alan are the folks who actually co-chair this initiative. Next, I'd like to recognize David Brownlee. You'll hear more about him later, but David, where are you? David made sure to wear a tweed jacket, he said today, to emphasize the fact that he is professorial.
Does it have patches?
And you can measure the status of a professor by the number of names on his chair. Ordinary distinguished professors just have one name on their chair. David has two. So he's an important guy, and you're going to be hearing from him shortly. And let me also briefly recognize my colleague, one of the great global Philadelphians, Zabet Tiluksing. Zabet, where are you? Zabet will be back up here shortly. So, Alan, what do you think these folks could accomplish in the short amount of time that we have available?
Eat 2 meals, coffee up. I think that really the premise here is to see if we could put some fairly specific ideas. They may be very practical ideas, they may be somewhat crazy ideas, doesn't matter at this point, but put some ideas on the table about how we would use this designation. And basically it's sort of scoping out what is going to turn into, honestly, probably a 5-year work plan that will probably be coming back to most of you, probably all of you, to help us further think through. But this is kind of a simple idea day. It's a bit of a no holds barred. Tell us whatever it is you need to tell us that you think we could do, that you think we're doing wrong, or something that we are missing in how we've started to think about this this designation. I think it's really, it's pretty simple, and it should be a pretty simple, fun morning, I think.
You know, I think we ought to say up front that we're not here to reinvent any wheels. The folks here, all of you, have been doing amazing things in your own fields. And we come into this project fully mindful of that and not wanting to say, watch out, we're coming. We really need to say, let's be collaborative. Let's figure out how World Heritage could be a catalyst that will help you get the things done that you want to do, and also create a larger vision for the city. I think one of the problems that I have, maybe you too, is that I'm pretty close to what goes on in Philadelphia every day, through clients and otherwise, the work that I do, the work that you do. The problems of the city are manifest. We read about them all the time. We can get so close to these things that I think we can easily lose our perspective. So one of the jobs that I think we collectively have is to step back from the Philadelphia that we know day to day and think about the Philadelphia that's been around us, through us, supporting us all this time, and recognize that with a World Heritage City designation in the offing, we're at a unique, truly unique moment in time, a moment where we can do something, a once in a lifetime something, for this city, which has done so much for us. So, I think at this point, I will only say that you represent 8 different fields of expertise. As Alan said, each of you brings a lot to this table, and after we're through palavering, we're going to ask you to go and do the real work, which is through the breakout groups that will follow. So at this point, I think what I'd like to do, Alan, unless you maybe have a final word to get people going?
Well, actually, the word to get people going is going to come from David Brownlee. I think he's prepared what I think John and I and our team have felt is a very inspiring talk about why we think we are a World Heritage City. And I think, you know, you won't be surprised that in the true kind of DNA traditions of Philadelphia, we're trying to be proud of who we are and what the city's accomplished, and we're trying to be humble in how we tell it. And that's always sort of an interesting dynamic that we probably live with in Philadelphia here more than most other cities. But we want you to walk away inspired by the possibilities, critical of critical in a good way of the efforts to date. Help us figure out how to make this better, how to make it more right, how to make it more Philadelphia. And really to enjoy yourselves and be part of this larger effort to bring our world stature up, which obviously in the last couple of years and arguably in the last month has gone up dramatically, and we're seeing the effects of it already through companies that want to be here from overseas, something that the mayor and I and Luke, Sylvia, and Supna have been working on and traveling. Through last week, a visit by the President of the Federal Republic of Germany, Joachim Gauck, was here. Steve Case, the founder, one of the co-founders of America Online, was here, talking about entrepreneurship in the rest of the United States. There's an awful lot happening, not to mention, you know, the cranes and the investments that are being made in this city, and the immigration to the city. From quarters that, frankly, I think none of us ever projected, whether that's Southeast Asia or Brazil. We're seeing significant amounts of immigration. So it feels like it's coming together. We all acknowledge that this is a city with significant problems. We know that. They're not unlike the kind of problems that most American cities have, but we have to reckon with those too. So it's a complicated picture, but there's a real opportunity to push a very key aspect of our city forward, and we really appreciate your being here and your willingness to take a pretty big chunk of time to help us. So thank you.
Thanks, Alan. And let's get going. Zabet, why don't you come up and tell us a little bit more?